don't think we're going to see me talk openly about that stuff here. I may start another channel and do that there, but right now, game number 2 is underway. We have Clutch331, the current reigning champion of the last tournament that we ran, versus califerbopbop, a very, very strong Outpost player who I think may be organising main. Game 2 is underway, 15 players on 14. I believe 1 or 2 left as the picking phase began, so we may end up going back up to about 18 either side. But regardless, this is a very strong beginning of the game, and as you can see, we have an abundance of really solid, strong resource patches in and around main base area. So we're not going to be wanting, really, at the beginning of the game for any we're not scrapping around for tiny little patches. We are on for an abundant opening game. My big question here, and I think that these guys are kind of answering my question a little bit, is where do we go to Outpost? And what kind of research are we looking at the beginning of the game? Now, obviously, both have researched steam power. Very quickly, the South have gotten their green chips researched. Interesting. Yeah, outposts. And as we can see, there's already some movement now. If you are an outposter in the game, and we don't talk about this that often, so I will talk about it in this game, mostly because a lot of the time when a game starts, I'll focus in on what's happening here in main base. However, today, I'm gonna talk a little bit more as if I am an outposter, because these guys have a very special, very specific, and very crucial role that they will play if they want to win the game. The first thing to say is an outpost is an independent base that provides a function towards your game's winning condition. In layman's terms, a group of very, very organized players who probably play a lot together are going to move into an area away from the main starting area, and they are going to dominate the local resources and funnel them into a build that will get your team to the end of the game. The trade-off here is that some of the most talented and high skill players in your team aren't in the main base area. So they're not here to help build up the main base and defend the main base. They're going over to an area which is much more specialized, one that has a lot more resources than the beginning of the opening area. For instance, let's just pick an area of the map here. Let's go down to Mexico. Let's say you need lots of copper. You'd move into this area because there's a 1 million copper patch there, a million copper patch there, 2 million copper patch here. If you need something that requires lots of copper to build your win condition, you'd build a base here. You wouldn't grab this stuff and bring it all the way back to main base. So, outposters, what do they do when they get out there? That's a great question, and it really is dependent on what the team needs. Each captain will have an idea of what kind of outpost exists in their win condition, in the way that they are dreaming up the win for their team. The easiest way that you can outpost as an individual, as a new player, as a noob, is this. And I say this every time I cast, because if I see a single player do this, make this play at the beginning of a game, of a normal game, captain's game might be different because the captain might say, "Hey man, I need you to do this job." So you don't get a lot of choice in what you do purely because this is the most organized version of the game. However, if you're a brand new player, and let's say you're on South, and just for argument's sake, you start, here, this is main base, I would say, if you could grab this coal and this stone, put it into a smelter and create walls, which is something you can do from the very start of the game. You can create walls right away. So you smelt raw stone and coal in a stone smelter to make bricks, and then you put those bricks into an assembly machine, a very simple production chain. You can build walls for your team. Walls are needed for military science research, but also you need walls to protect your base. And the moment you can get them building, trust me, you'll need more than you can actually produce. So if you can start the game off by making them, by the middle and the end of the game when you really need loads of them, thousands and thousands of them, there'll be a couple of boxes where that you'll have made from minute 1, purely from making an outpost out in this area. Grab some coal, grab some stone. If you want to be a hero, you can make a little power block. You don't need all this coal, right? So you can make a couple of power engines and then bring that power all the way back to main base. If you were to make a play like that, for me, as a new player, as a seasoned player, a veteran player, if I see a new player doing that, thumbs up, mate, you're my MVP of the early game, 100%. Because it's a play that not many make, but it's invaluable. It's invaluable of a play to make. Right, up in Canada, we do see that the smelting lines are being put down, moving west to east, it looks like, if Carl decides that this is the right place to go. And from left to right, we'll be putting... yeah, and please don't make red belts. That's a whole different topic entirely, and we will get to it because it's the beginning of the year, so I need to make sure that I can tell everybody the do's and the don'ts. But one of the don'ts is red belts. Only in very specific setups and only for very specific reasons will you red belt anything in this game. There are reasons for that, I'll go into them later. I have a PowerPoint presentation ready to go that can mathematically show that it's not worth it. Armor belts too. But we'll get to it, we'll get to all of that. Right, so let's take a full zoom out. Let's zoom all the way out the map. So, the southern, Mexico's threat farmers are already down there. It'll be Gaming Guy and Zero Sun bringing their presence close to the bugs. And you guys know me too well. I need to mix it up a little bit. They're bringing their presence close to the bugs in order to begin to threat farm. Meanwhile, up in Canada, I can't see anybody moving in right now, but that isn't to say that they won't have somebody or a set of people moving up to do that threat farming in the not too distant future. We are, by the way, only 6 minutes into a game. So, yeah, there's plenty of time for them to move out. It's just that Zero Sun and Gaming Guy have gone there straight away. Okay, let me introduce you to our resident French person. This is Ness. Ness is a very accomplished speedrunner and is currently exploring a part of the map which I don't think I would have identified as being any good at all. I don't know why Ness is here. And yet they are. Here they are. This is Ness. And they're creating a base in a very secluded part of the map. Now, this is really nice, actually. We have some really, really generous copper and iron patches next to each other. Interesting. And a really generous coal patch. When I was talking about outposts, guys, this is the kind of area. This is the kind of area I was talking about. If you want to. And I'm not sure what Ness is doing up here. Again, Ness is a speedrunner. And yeah, Blitzy, we need to double check on tournament rules because I don't know if offline scouting is an allowed thing. They will. Biters can make it to this area. Ness is very vulnerable out here. If the biters begin to aggress into this area and kill them off, Ness has to run from here all the way back and probably to a dead base. By the time they get back here after dying once, the biters will have killed everything off. This is incredibly risky, but this is the risk that you take in order to get such an advantage. Every element here around Ness, if they can control the area by killing off some of these worms and making it safe, they have access to everything. The oil, the stone, the coal, the copper, the iron, everything here. The uranium if they want to. Now my question is, and we'll check back on in this, we're not just going to leave Ness alone. My question is, what are they planning on building up here? What function, what purpose does this spot achieve if Ness can get a base off? So yeah, this will be a slow burner. We're on Have a Nice Day, so I don't think anybody's going to be spamming anytime soon. We do see again, the smelting stacks now. We see a little bit of similarity in the way that Canada and Mexico are building their their smelting. And obviously we have a couple of arrows. C for copper, by the way, I for iron, S for steel. Yeah, this is the amount that you need to win a game, it looks like. Preordained builds going down there. Power on Mexico is going down very nicely, very close to the river, very tight. Probably making use of this small coal patch to begin with the ability to kind of build power out further on and bring more kind of coal across to feed and fuel up that larger power block. And yeah, an IRL ban for this word for as long as I can maintain it. I think once I break it more than once. So if I start using that word constantly without thinking. So we've named, for anybody joining in, we've named up here, because I can't use the word for this side of the map. This is Canada. this is Mexico, and this is America. Well, I'll use the proper terminology down the line, but yeah, dude, blue belts, they're so quick. They're so quick, and yet they're so wasteful. I may go into a bit of a spiel. If things... Okay, so last game, within an hour and a half, the game was over. We need to pace ourselves a little bit with this one. It won't be an hour and a half. This may be a 2, or potentially even a 2.5, 3 hour game. So I'm not going to kind of like go off on rants. I'm going to save some ranting for later. And remind me, in about an hour's time, we'll talk about red belts. And some of the other, like repair packs, for instance, as well. We can go into that diatribe and talk a little bit about why we hate certain things in the game and why they're useless, as well as the things that we do like. But yeah, no, you're right. This is we're on for a long slog here, so thank you. I'll do a quick stretch real quick. Damn. Before I stretch, let me do that real quick. I should have done that the moment the game started, but my bad. Okay, so Twitch. Literally too busy eating my sandwich. Damn. My alerts are cursed. Okay. It happened? Oh, thank you. Pamps16, thank you for the follow, mate. I appreciate you. Welcome in. If you have any, yeah, RJD beat me to, mate, I forgot I put you as a mod. Mate, I appreciate you, thank you. It's a thankless task. And Pamps16, welcome in. Sorry, I got a little bit caught up there with a couple of little bits and pieces. But yeah, thank you. Right, guys, who wins? Mexico, down here. Canada up top. Because we know that nobody in the middle wins, right? You can't win if you don't play the game. Yeah, anybody new that's tuning in now for the first time, please feel free to ask questions. There are many players that play the game that are currently in the chat now. And there are plenty of people that are happy to field some questions if I'm not able to get to them. And I try and answer every question that's asked in chat. If I can't get to it, I'm 99% sure somebody will have an answer for you very quickly. So... Every time I say Canada, it makes me think of Terrence and Philip. So, do I reveal this now? Do I want to? Let me show you something I've been working on. Since we're waiting, since you know we're on the way to the early game. Again, guys, this game will be slower than the first, and so I'm just trying to like pace myself rather than talking too much about any one thing. I'd rather just slowly pace myself into the game because, you know, nothing really big is happening right now. We could look at some of the science flower builds and, you know, some of the deviations in terms of like what the threat farmers are doing, but this is all really solid. It's really standard. Much like chess, there's only a certain amount of moves you can make at the beginning of the game. This is certainly an interesting move, and I'm very interested to see what Ness does with this. But let me show you something I've been working on real quick, because I think that might make you smile. So you guys know how Terrence and Philip have those flappy heads, right? I don't know if I can put this on stream, by the way, because they're like weirdly the algorithm bit me yesterday, so I can't show you this. However, you know how they have the flappy heads whenever they talk, the head kind of cuts in half and stuff. I've been trying to animate a version of the Factorio, this guy. Here we go. So let me see if I can bring this onto stream real quick. Can you see this? So I wanted to so you know when I do interviews, you know when I do interviews with people post-game winning, and if I bring Carl, for instance, on to do a co-stream, what I want to do is I want to have one of these guys, the same size as me on the other side of the screen, and every time they talk, they have like the Terrence and Philip flappy head. So, you know, if, for instance, if I have Carl on stream, I can write Carl above his name, and then every time he talks, like almost like a VTuber PNG, like the Factorio head like flaps around, like, oh mate, it's gonna be sick, honestly. Not to take the piss out of anybody. It's not a joke on them. It's just a bit of fun, right? It just adds another level to the stream that makes it a bit different. You know, I love Factorio. I love the streams. Everybody does it differently. I like to try and approach mine with a bit of humor and a little bit of deprecative humor as well. So maybe when I do that, I'll then put my own model to be flappy headed as well. So that when Carl talks, his Factorio engineer will flap. And when I talk, my little guy will flap as well. And then we'll have a flap cast. Co-commentary yapping. Not a huge amount of people voting for the channel prediction. That's okay. Feel free to save your points. If I had some to spend, flabbergasted. It's gonna be great, honestly. It just adds a little bit of fun, you know. And you know, we can make them different colors. Yeah, I don't know. I have these ideas, and it's free. Like, I don't have to spend any money to do this. I just need to spend like a little bit of time cutting out the avatar, getting him into Discord, and then queuing up their audio channel with the open and close. It's one thing I would say about this, guys, is the one thing I've loved about streaming the most. Alex, welcome, mate. Happy New Year, firstly. I hope 2025 went well for you, mate. And we're on for a good 2026. The teams can see parts of the map. There is a function that I don't think I have with me at the moment. If you play in the game yourself, there'll be a small panel just to the left-hand side, and you have the ability to scout the enemy team. However, the map view that we have, so kind of we can see everything quite openly and quite, you know, clearly, each team won't get that. So a lot of this is hidden to the enemy team. They will only see portions of it. So the information game, again, another topic. I genuinely think I could talk at length about this. Scouting is a really big deal because there are certain timings that when you get to 30 minutes into a game, 1 hour into a game, an hour and 30 minutes into a game, certain things should be happening on the enemy team. So by scouting them at those moments, if you don't see it happening, if you don't get that vision, you can make an educated guess as to whether they are either ahead of the build, and they're ahead of you, for instance, or they're behind the build, and actually they have to catch up. So scouting is massive. You shouldn't really play in a vacuum. Yes, you need to do a lot of stuff, right? You need to build a lot of buildings, you need to kill a lot of bugs. But beyond that, you need to make sure that the enemy are where you want them and not ahead of you at all. So yeah, welcome in, mate. It's nice to have you back. As you can see, I am now 3D. And I think in the not too distant future, we'll add some more 3D models in. So yeah, I don't want to clutter the stream too much. I don't want to put too much stuff on screen. I really want to keep the gameplay, you know, as clear as possible. But yeah, it's just a bit of fun, I guess. And I was going to make a point before that, but I got slightly sidetracked. So I'm going to kind of park that and come back to that thought process down the line. Smelting stacks up in Canada are going incredibly well. Down in Mexico, we're around about the same point. You know, the beginning of them all, the beginnings of creating tier 1, tier 2 products. We've smelted some plates down, we're throwing that into another production block, and then from there we're going to be producing some basic materials. You know, inserters and belts, we're going to need them all the way through the game, and we're going to need a ton of them. So you may as well get as many of them down as possible to begin with. Meanwhile, Outstanding and Clutch, we've got a couple of mix builders out here. I wonder what this is going to go into. I wonder what the plan is out here. Clutch is obviously the leader of this team. He's the captain of this team. So I wonder what the play is by having them out there. Meanwhile, Lower Dark, the agent of chaos that is, has a grenade set of buildings creating at the moment. And it seems as though we've got some sushi smelting going on with some copper being boxed. So potentially this could be a threat farming outpost. In fact, almost certainly it's going to be a threat farming outpost. Maybe they go for spam, maybe, but I doubt it. With a game mode like this, going for spam isn't the most optimal play you can make. Meanwhile, down in Mexico, the threat farmers of Zero Sun and Game Guy and Luca are beginning to ramp up towards killing off the bugs constantly. breaking down the number from a positive number into a negative. Again, I'll go through that down the line as well, because that's a very important aspect of this game. And meanwhile, we have our lone outposter, Ness, on a bit of an island out here, really. Still surrounded by some worms. Could still take lethal damage out here. You know, they're not massively safe, but they have enough space to work within, a pocket of protection. I just wonder what happens out here. I wonder what the plan or the play is for Ness to be out here. Because arguably, as strong as Ness is as a player, you could utilize them either down here with, you know, some of our other players, or in main base. So I wonder, is the smoking gun, is the murder weapon Ness, is the death of Mexico, is that going to happen at the hands of this particular effort? Whatever this is, there's no way this is a rocket outpost, right? I know Ness is quick, but you don't just build a rocket outpost on your own. Or maybe Ness does, I don't know. But yeah, I'm worried a little bit about what I see out there, because that could be either incredible, or it could be incredibly sad and get broken up and blown up, so... Oh damn, dude, I nearly spit my tea out. Give me a second. That would be so bold. That would be so bold of Ness. I'm going to play Biter Battles tournament game, but instead of actually playing the game, I'm going to record a Let's Play. Like, these guys are too slow, so like as I win the game, I'm just going to build up my own base and do my own thing. Not gonna lie though, Ness is freakishly quick. So when you see somebody out there like that, my brain starts wondering, you know, what are we gonna see? It's gonna be purple, right? It's gonna be like purple or yellow rush, I think. Maybe a power outpost, potentially a laser outpost, but... Oh, let's change the music up, by the way, guys. We've been listening to Soul for quite some time. What kind of music do you want to listen to? If anybody out there has an idea or a genre or you know, a type of music they want to hear, I'm more than happy to take a look at it. You know, that's one of my favorite things in doing in the stream, whilst we wait for things to happen, is find a genre of music or something we haven't listened to in a while and chucking it on. So yeah, feel free to mention anything you like. Ping me a message in Discord. If you have a playlist that you like, send it across to me. If not, I'll just randomly select something for now, and then down the line we'll swap it out to something else. So let's go to here, let's go to this, let's go here. Let's go to this, and let's go on for... Does it not have... Wait, can I search? Oh, I can search. Yes. Let's go here. Do we have it? Oh, I love drum. I just love a little bit of drum and bass. Just a little, just a small amount of drum and bass. And this guy's just going to town on these walls. I'm just going to stay here for a second and see how much this guy decides to... It's this little guy just devastating the base. Yeah, he was going for that, dude. Like, he took it personally. Like, fuck you, Neil Wall. And then he died. Okay, right. Let's do a quick counterclockwise look around the map at all the good things that both sides are doing. and then we'll get a bit of an understanding. We're reaching the 25-minute mark now. There's still a little bit of time left to predict with the channel points if you want to. Starting on the bottom, a threat farm outpost that is beginning to expand. We're looking at potentially down the line a poison capsule build. For now though, I think it'll be grenades, bullets, all the basics you need to kill very weak bugs. At 2.9%, all you need really is bullets, to be fair, and some healing fishes to pick your HP up off the ground if you do take too much damage. Moving across, there is nothing else to the most bottom end of Mexico. Sorry if I can get my words right. So moving around the clock, the Cobra and Cogito, also known as cookie dough. That's not cookie dough at all. I need to have a word with them and say, hey mate, what does this mean? Help me decode your username, because there's no way that's cookie dough. And if it is, holy crap, that's been staring me in the face for about 3 years now, and I have not picked up on that. Like, I am not a smart man, but I'm not that dumb. So we have a couple of mixed smelters smelting sushi belts into multiple different products, most notably green chips, which you love to see and you need tons of. Moving around outside of main base on Mexico, Prox has a mall going at the moment, and it looks to be making pipe-based items. We could look at a large expansive power build out into this area, potentially. That is everything in Mexico outside of the main base. We also have some mixed smelting down here from Nizzy and Darkenade, so potentially this could be a side build, maybe a laser production build, although they could potentially go for some green spam if they wanted to. We'll keep an eye on that. And main base is building up its smelting, labs are down already, and a healthy amount of red and green signs are being chucked into the labs. Not red signs though. Okay, gear wheels. Is it power? Am I losing my mind? Okay, this ratio seems massively out. Never mind. Okay, main base is on its way. It's trying its best. Moving around the clock, we have Outstanding and Clutch with some sushi smelting that are moving their raw products either into boxes or into a large... Oh god, this always clogs up. I'm yet to see a sorter splitter build that works. I'm not saying Clutch is going to do this wrong, but I've yet to see this work correctly, so we will check back in on this, because if somebody's cracked it, I feel like the moment somebody breaks the meta and finds out a classic and good way to sort like this, it will be the only one. No outserters. Yeah, I was thinking that. It looks like the right ratio, but it just doesn't seem to be pushing out. Oh, it's because it's only pushing out on 2, 3. No, yeah, 2. That's not good enough. It's a good spot. It's a very good spot. And you could potentially, yeah, you could easily eat. I mean, 54 stuck in this building. You know, we are observers. We are not here to coach. Moving around the clock, Ness has a couple of lines of copper, a line of copper, a couple of lines of iron, and they are moving into what I would assume is the beginning of a mall, to allow them to build up, you know, this base with belts and all that jazz. Again, if Ness dies, there is no respawning in this area. There is only respawning miles away. So it'll be interesting to see where Ness takes this. Moving completely back around again, main base, we have our smelting columns slowly but surely coming up and running. We have red and green going down. Green is a bit slow to come out, but it's getting there. It is getting there. And again, we are seeing a buffering, a storing up of green chips. Power's coming in nicely. Labs got pulled up here, so you could argue you could get rid of these assembly machines and maybe chuck them further in to the build. Moving up and around, we have Haptech. How do I say that name? Sorry, I read this earlier and I got it wrong. Heptadecagon. H-Man. This is H-Man. His name is too long to pronounce constantly and consistently over a course of time, so you're Big H. Then this as well. This is over here doing some threat farming. You'd love to see it. Meanwhile, there is a belt of grenades being belted across by Lower Dark, I believe. Who was here, is no longer. And then to round out our counterclockwise look around the map, Joshua is building what looks to be a buffer of green chips, some iron products, and there is no copper being processed there. There is? Yeah, well, yeah, for chips, obviously. I don't hate it. main base is looking okay. Let's take a look at research real quick, and that should give us a bit of an understanding as to what each team are going for. They are both researching the same thing, oil. In fact, look at that. They are basically 1% difference in terms of research speed. It's now about who has more research. They're dead even now. The South have overtaken the North by 1%, now by 2, and now by 3. Okay, so the South are researching slightly faster, but a considerable amount, you know. There is some parity there. There's a percentage difference, and that is not something to scoff at. You know, being quicker at researching, being able to pull in those technologies into your team faster, means you can put them down on the map faster too. So here we go. We've got oil, advanced material processing, lab, and milsci. The North, I'm going to have to break the IRL ban, mate. Otherwise, if I keep calling it Canada and Mexico, I'm going to confuse myself. Up north, sorry, Blitzy. They've just finished oil processing. They're moving to advanced material processing. They already have milsci, and they're going for lab processing too. So where is milsci going to get built? Is it going to be built external to the main build? And a throw. Interesting. Why? I mean, that's a considerable amount of... hang on. Am I taking crazy pills? Hey, guy. Hey, fuck you, buddy. No, the thing is, I said something last stream, yesterday, that got flagged for being racist. And I didn't say anything. I literally, I know I said this literally an hour ago, but it got flagged. And so I'm genuinely quite concerned that maybe TOS has changed on Twitch. I need to be very careful about doing impressions. Apparently I said a word which in a foreign language is a very, very offensive swear word, and that their bot, their automation picked up on this. I ended up in a bit of trouble. So yeah, I'm just going to err on the side of caution, guys. I'd love to, by the way, and if anything, there will be a Terrence and Phillip style ghosty appearing on your screen when I can animate it. But for now, I just want to kind of, yeah, be safe. What is this? Get out. In the bin. Sorry, not you guys, the music. That was terrible. Nobody wants to hear that. Okay, taking a scan around. The throw... What's interesting to me is that the South threw red and green signs, right? Yeah, you can make a ton of it, but right now you still need it to research. I don't know what throwing a couple of hundred really did for you. Bugs at 8% isn't really a problem for anyone. Like, I get it, you want to kind of cause a bit of chaos in and around the other team. You don't want them to be sat at 2-3% when, you know, you can force them out of that, but... Would it be hard to change the t-shirt? Ah, that is a good question. So, I believe, and I'm worried, could you comment? Let's take a look at the Canadian power plant. It's long. It's a big long one. Unless there's another one. I may have missed the secondary power plant going down, but... Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah. Okay, ooh. Somebody forgot to finish their homework? Hello? Whoever was building this, did they just disconnect? Am I... Where's Muddled Box? Who was doing this? Why is there so much gap? I could drive a car through there, that's... And then some of them don't have even one. Is this on purpose? Is this an act of defiance against the regime? The Canadians are too harsh on their people, so their people revolt by not placing power plants down correctly, or symmetrically, or efficiently, to the point where the engines that you need down here that would be fed are down here not getting fed. Like, make it make sense. You can pull 6 of these out the ground and put them here and they'd work. Yeah, I mean, obviously coal isn't the issue entirely, but like, yeah, I mean, you know what, guys, every day, every time I stream, we see things that leave me in awe. I am, at the moment, currently in awe of this. And here we go. Here's the perpetrator of that build. Muddled man. Although it seems as though he's making his way downtown, walking fast. So hopefully, potentially, that can be a problem that he can solve. Because this is egregious. This is almost a crime. This is very much borderline a crime. Luckily, they don't have any power problems up here, but if they did, this would be the first thing you'd have to address. Like, you couldn't address any other problem on the team other than this isn't full. And again, this is quite, I don't know, I don't like this at all. Like, if you compare it to this, just uniform, boring, but it works, right? It's just a big, long-ass line of stuff. Nothing sexy about this, nothing unique. It's as close to the river as possible, so it's tucked away. If the bugs make it here, then you probably lost the game anyway, and it's just simple. 100, yeah. And beyond that too, there are other resources, like I'm 90% sure, here we go. There is a coal patch that is barely even touched by electric miners. And again, I know you'll need this for all of your smelting, and I guess if we look, yeah, even further down the line, when these things turn on, they need a lot more coal than this. But Jesus Christ, boys, there's 700,000 coal here. Like, use it. There is a 200,000 coal patch here. Use it. You know, grab that belt, drag it across, feed it into this, you'll win the game. Well, no, you won't win the game, but the game will be much easier to play with that happening. I genuinely just blanked out for a second there. What was I talking about before? Sorry, yeah. I didn't expect to be, I was already knackered when I started streaming the last game, so I may have some dips in form today. Oh, yeah, sorry, this mixer. The t-shirt, yes! Sorry, mate, thank you for getting me back on topic. Apologies. It's been a long one. It's been a good weekend, but it's been a long one. I can add items to myself. So I tried this. I can put a shoe on my own head. I can give myself sunglasses. If I want to, I can give myself like wings and stuff, but I'm not going to do that. Like, I was thinking when I made this this avatar, or whether this little cartoon, like how I want to do it, and I don't want to make it like fantasy based or anything. Like, if I was to really get into like streaming a different game, or maybe actually, ooh, I could make a Factorio. So you know how like, oh mate, let's do that. I didn't even think about that. I could make power armor. I could start. Ooh, wait. Okay, whoa. How about this? When the game starts, I give myself light armor, and then as the game progresses, I level my armor up until I'm sat here in power armor. That'd be sick. Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna animate that. I've got time on my hands to draw it out and to. But yeah, no, I can change the things. I just don't want to mess around too much with it because this is the first time I've used it like consistently. Oh yes, yeah, guys. Honestly, I know I'm the streamer, but you guys really do help me out with ideas. That's a great shout. Yeah, we can do that. We can absolutely do that. Oh yeah, oh mate. You guys should, honestly, you should stream. A BRB t-shirt. Yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? Like a break, take a break, you know, having a drink. 100% mate. It won't take much. I just need to go in and like basically make a few more t-shirts and then just swap things onto them. It's really simple. Once you have the actual physical model down, everything else is really easy. So yeah mate, great idea. 100%. I may. I could put on. Oh, I could make one out of pot noodles. Guys. Dream with me. Dream with me for a second. Wait, sorry. I'm gonna do something heinous. Tell me I can make this happen. You can either buy these things, right? No, how good. Wait, hang on. Is this a thing? No. No. Guys. I don't like using AI art. But I mean, I could make one of these. I could animate one of these. They'd have to sponsor. No, I'm not looking for sponsorship, but like, come on. Look how happy I would be. Imagine if I was just, I know I can't do it, but you know what I mean? Like if this, I was wearing a Now I wouldn't use AI to draw it. I would physically make the thing, right? I don't want to kind of overly rely on stuff like that, but why not? Why not? Let's get silly with it. Like, why not? I'm here to have fun. If I was here to get sponsorship or to like grow the channel to stupid levels, I wouldn't be as silly as I was. And I wouldn't have as much fun as I would. I'd be constantly trying to be serious and like, oh, hey guys, subscribe to the thing and remember to like my TikTok. No, absolutely not. I'm more than happy with where we are. In fact, you know what? I never even expected it to go to this level. So I don't want it to be, the one thing I've never want it to be is so big that I can't read messages. Or for chat to be so active that people get lost in chat, you know. The one thing I like the most is that it's like having a chat with your mates at the pub, you know. Like I would be sat here watching this anyway. I'd probably even be playing it, or I'd just be commentating it. And so like having people tune in and just kind of shoot the shit and throw a few crappy jokes around. Mostly me with the crappy jokes. That's why I like streaming. That's why I will sit here for a couple of hours and do it, because it's worth doing. It's really good fun, and you guys make it fun, you know. It would literally be me talking about myself, which I would do normally anyway, regardless of whether there's an internet connection or not. But I wouldn't turn down a free pot noodle sponsorship. Although, do any of you guys follow Counter-Strike? I haven't played CS2 in a long time. In fact, I haven't played CS2 at all. I played CSGO for a while and then stopped. Anyway, side note, Pot Noodle sponsored their entire event recently. Have you seen this? Sorry, sidetrack, but like, what the? CS2. It was Nor, I think it was. I think Nor, GNO. Right? Am I wrong here? Blast. Yeah, check this out. Can I show this on stream? I have to be able to. If I get banned from this, I'll be super upset. Yeah, dude, look at this. This is a major Counter-Strike event and Pot Noodle sponsored them. How cool is that? Yeah, I will show the bases. My bad. Sorry, I'm getting very sidetracked by the idea of putting myself in a Pot Noodle suit. But that's kind of cool, right? That's sick. Anyway, yeah. I'll stop yapping. It's been some time. Let me get back to this. We do this, and then I hit this button. So, looking down the middle of the base, we have red chips being assembled, or the beginning of the red chips being assembled in main on north, with a reflexive pattern looking to double the amount of red chips coming in. We have green chips being churned through the mill, as well as no mill site yet, but let's take a look at research for the north, because I'm worried about where they're going with this. Both sides have everything up to blue. Are they building up to blue though? I don't see it. Although this abomination, no, it's not been fixed. It's not been fixed yet. In fact, if anything, it's been unfixed. Defixed. Oh my god. I mean, this obviously... Oh my god. Guys, it's yellow power. It's yellow, and we're not feeding like 10 of these things. What are we doing? Tell me this is full. It's not. Oh my god. And are these lines? No, that's criminal. Do you guys, can anybody spot the problem? Almost stagnant coal lines. Emptying power. With power now slowly depleting. So we're going deep into the yellow. I know, sorry, chat is slightly over the top of that. I do apologize, but yeah, that's bouncing yellow power there. Hopefully they can fix that. Meanwhile on south, blue jugs are on the cards. Inside of labs, we don't have any military science just yet, but blue has been created and we'll be fed into labs as well. Or will it? Not yet, it looks like. But not much blue has been produced, so we are slightly somewhat behind the curve on that front. It is, yeah, it was a planned abomination. It was always going to be terrible. Darknade putting down a couple of chip builders, I'm guessing. No? Ooh, okay. Big production on the cards from the south. I like this. Darknade has to be a smurf, by the way. I'm just putting it out there. I've never seen this person before, and all of a sudden they're pulling off some big licks, big tricks. I like it. I've got time for it, but there's... Solar fuel's a good shout. There's an abundance of oil, and there's no way you're using all of this, right? You could tap into these small patches. You know, for instance, this isn't even churning anything out. You could easily create a little bit, just a tiny bit of power from that. Some solid power. That is impressive. You know what? It normally doesn't work because of stuff like this, right? You can clog up a mixed build very easily, but I guess we're feeding. Interesting. I don't know if I like this. So you're vulturing. So the way I would look at this is it's almost like a vulture picking the bones. You send a load of items and material down a line, and then you have these vulture vampire type, you know, these vampire type inserters. Power is bouncing for what? Guys, what's going on? Power on both sides is terrible. Arguably for the north, so worse than the south, but what is this, guys? Power is... It's yellow on both sides. This is a kind of a fuck up. We talked about this earlier on. Yeah, okay, here we go. There's somebody out here trying to fix this. Okay, here we go, procs. Yeah, I was going to say, there were a couple of independent, you know, patches that you could easily tap into. Low Dark got killed. Is that through threat? Oh, it's threat lane. Okay. I don't know which way... I do know which way this is going to go. We are getting to the end game. But it's just muddled. It's a really fuzzy... Where are we now? 47 minutes into the game. I want to say like early part of the mid game. You know, we're up to blue science on both teams, right? Yeah, I think we're in the mid game. The very beginnings of it, but we're there. With that, advanced oil processing is being researched for the south. North have got some ambitions to go for train, battery, lab research, tool belt, and speed mods are coming in too. I'm not excited about it. Like, I don't... It's really, for me, it's messy. I think that's the best way I could describe what I'm seeing right now, both on north and on south. I understand that the new way of building is probably to obviously weaponize mixed patches, and this is probably one of the more efficient ways of doing it, but I'm not... Like, my issue here is that if the north, for whatever reason, just thought, alright, let's put some pressure on the south and throw, the first thing that the bugs will find is this. Outside of killing your threat farmers, right? Let's say, for instance, all of a sudden, Coffee Owl is on south, he's dealing with 6% bugs, and that jumps to 25%. You know, loads of blue get sent, loads of military signs get sent, and that 6% goes to 25%. And all of a sudden the bugs go from being small to mediums. This outpost will be instantly overrun, and the next thing on the chopping block will be this. Again, those bugs are easy to beat, they're easy to defend against, but still, we're hanging really important things out, like way out in the open here. And I just worry that it's slightly exposed. Now, obviously, building walls in the current meta doesn't seem to be kind of a priority for most teams. Here we can see a stone line that we're just boxing up bricks, which is fine. You know, you do need them down the line, but it just worries me a little bit that we're really big and sprawling, very sprawling in fact. and I would kind of pay a little bit more attention to like where the build is going in terms of like direction, and try and just squeeze things into as tight a space as possible. We saw the last game, and I will get to that, Dr. Kong, absolutely, because things have changed since I last played, and I need to kind of go through those changes. Last game, the reason one team won and one team lost, and it was apparent, and obviously guys, watch the VOD back, was one team organised their build almost directly through their silo. So everything was above their silo, so the bugs had to fight their way through large patches of these, large patches of this. They didn't walk straight towards the silo, right? If you organise your base left to right, like for instance the South have done, if a bug chooses to, a large enough bug or a strong enough bug, they can make it to within basically breathing distance of your silo, and the only thing they have to chew through is a few miners if they get through here. They could just walk straight through. So I think, in my mind, much like our lungs and our internal organs have a skeleton around them, this being the beating heart of our existence in the map, and continuing, as long as it survives, we survive, I would build a skeleton of things around it to keep it safe. And sprawling builds out to left and right, yes, it needs to happen if you're doing smelting, but I would absolutely try and get things like, this production, slap it on top. Drag that line out here and have that as another defensive layer. If we're going to lose a game, that could be the saving grace. And again, guys, I know it sounds a bit odd to say this now. We saw it happen almost an hour ago, maybe even an hour and a half ago now at this point. One base was very well layered, compacted on top of each other. One base was open, and guess which one blew up first? The current meta, Dr. Kong. Sorry, a bit of a rant from me, but it perplexes me that we build so openly and so widely, knowing that the large send is coming. But that's just a me thing. It appears, yeah, no walls, no lasers. For now, I'm still going to get into the game and try and make it happen. So the first few games I play, regardless of whether I win or not, I'm going to try and make the old meta work. One base has also built walls. I'm down. They are able to. Well, they have the capacity to. But at the moment in this game, I don't see any major concerted effort towards that. I might be wrong, and I may have missed a small pocket of the map where that's being done, but at the moment I'm just, yeah. So, Kong, sorry, back to your initial, sorry, I'm getting overwhelmed with ideas of my own as well as currently the game state as it stands. The current meta seems to be this. I'm going to take a quick swig of my drink. So, the idea is, you are going to play as fast as you can, as hard as you can, as exposed as you can, in order to get to a certain point in the meta. It seems to me the current inflection point where you can start winning a game is when you can start pumping out 20 to 50 jugs of purple signs, and you can throw that consistently. So teams now, instead of building laser walls and flamer walls, which we've seen in the past, almost like build a castle around their base, teams will use physical presence of other players to intercept. So obviously threat farming will always be a thing, but once the send starts happening and you can no longer threat farm with the tools that you have available to you and the technology you have available to you, they employ people to basically be speed bumps in the way of the base. And I highly recommend, actually, Dr. Kong, I'll explain it now, but watch the last VOD of the last game. It's a perfect example of this playstyle. You don't protect anything. Everything is exposed, everything is available to be destroyed, and no matter what happens, you have a main base builder that will never stop and never slow down. They won't deviate from what they're doing. It's everybody else's role and responsibility to just put the fires out around them, solve the issues of the aggression around them as they force the game to go deeper and deeper and deeper. It's so risky and it's so full of holes. Like, I could give you right now 5 different things you can do to throw that game completely off balance. So it's a race all the way to one point. There's a good chance the enemy team will do the same, and then you both throw purple and see who survives the longest. And I just think that's really reckless, and it's just unnecessary. I love a slug fight. I love it when you just have a scrap and I throw some stuff and you throw some stuff and then we see who wins. But by the time you get to purple, right, you've missed opportunities to pull their pants down. You've missed opportunities to speed the game up yourself. You've missed opportunities to throw your own aggressive punches. And you're basically tacitly agreeing with the other team, without having a conversation with the other team, that you're both not going to throw punches at each other until the very end of the game. And I just think that's a little bit naive, you know? As we saw in last game, and I highly recommend, it's probably going to be one of my, I might do an analysis, if I can get the words out, of last game, because it was like the most abundantly clear version of the meta that I've seen so far play itself out basically to a T. The team that kind of that lost the slowest. And that, you know, you guys, there were a few of you that were here for last game, right? I'm not wrong. The team at the end of the game who lost slower than the team that lost quick didn't lose. So it wasn't about winning the game. It was about who lost the slowest, which is the weirdest thing to say. You know, yes, it's an attritional game, but not like that. That just seems to me like there's a misunderstanding of like the core elements of the game. We're not utilizing certain moments where we can inflict some damage, where we can have an impact and influence the game and the momentum of the game. So yeah. It's true though, you are true, Rubashenko. Rather than turtling all the way to a rocket and then just waiting for us to send 10 rockets and then you win the game, I do like it, but there's a few small changes I would make to that, you know, so that my opponent would arrive at the end game slightly more bloodied, slightly more damaged, slightly less resources, and just slightly more in a position where they've been beaten down rather than knocked out by one massive punch. They've just weathered a storm of slow beatings. You know, you've just thrown a punch every minute or two and they just can't absorb all of them, so eventually it kind of chips away at them. You know, what this really is at the end of the day, it should be morale sapping. You know, you should sap the morale out of a team. You know, stuff like this happening every minute or two to a small build around the place. It's very, very emotionally draining. And stuff like this. This is cool to see, by the way, but you shouldn't get away with this. I hate to be that guy, but you should not be able to get away with this. You should never, that's jail to me. Red belting? Straight to jail. Absolutely straight to jail. Yeah, you know, Rampant's interesting. There is a version of the AI that we never break out. And I was going to talk to Nura about this, actually, because it's fascinating. There was a version of the AI that was like highly intelligent, almost like what's the chess engine? Is it Stockfish? I might be wrong, but I think there's like a chess engine called Stockfish where it learns like how you play. Anyway, I'm getting slightly beyond the point. We played against this AI that somebody programmed that was in beta battles. We played 2 games. Game 1, it was useless. We basically just didn't have any problems at all with the AI. Game 2, they turned it up to max, and it fucking destroyed us. We had no chance. It knew every move we were making and had counter moves ready and loaded to go, so that when we were forced to make a certain deviation, I wish I had my drawing tools, man. I wish. I so wish I could just draw out what happened to us right now. Remind me to either find the VOD of that game, or next time I stream, I'll try and draw it out for you. It was horrific, mate. It was like playing paintball against members of the Special Forces. You know, we're all here thinking that we know what to do and we can aim at... No. Just no. Oh, you want to go into that building? They're already there. Oh, you want to leave the building? They're going to flashbang you and kill you. Oh, you think you've got bullets? They've got more. You know, they beat you to the ground. It was horrific. So much so that nobody ever wanted to play it again. We had everybody on one side of the map, so there were about 30 of us on the south. The game lasted about 25 minutes. You're talking the best players in the server up against an AI. Nobody was throwing signs. Nobody was forcing the bugs to be stronger. They just... And I'll give you an example, right? Let's say my base is out here. I really wish I could draw, but I'll just kind of explain it and try and do my best to explain it. My base is out here, and the bugs normally will come in this direction. So they'll come from where they spawn, and they'll make their way towards a building that I have put down, right? And as a player, I value keeping my power alive, right? I need this to play the game. So the bugs will try and aim to kill this power block before anything else. That's my assumption as a human player. So what I do is I build my power far away, And then in front of all of that, I build my main base. So that when the bugs come, they have to go through my entire base before they kill my power block. What this AI did was it realized that we prioritized our power block, so it sent one wave of bugs to the front of our base, and the moment, and I mean this, the moment I pressed a button to come towards those bugs, 3 waves came in and smashed our power block. They were sat waiting for me to move. It was horrific. And every time, and I mean this because I watched the replay back, I've got the video somewhere, I will post it if it's not already up on YouTube. Every time I moved away from something, another wave of the worst thing for me just came straight in. And it wasn't like it summoned them. They had moved there and positioned themselves close, but not so close that I would find them. So they would hide in a forest, for instance, right? There would be a wave in the forest waiting for me, but not so obvious that I wouldn't walk out here and find them. And even if I did walk this far away from my base, there'd be another wave to come. Honestly, mate, it was fucking horrible. I really want to play that again. Because it was just... It was impossible. There was no winning. There was surviving as much as you can. And if you can't survive that long, then you just try, you know? But yeah, I was on an outpost with, I think, Neuro. I was with Outstanding. I was with about 3 or 4 of us, right? Very strong players. And the goal was survive more than an hour, and we made it 25 minutes. And they were already just... And you know what? They could have just gone straight to the silo, but they decided to kill off every small base around before they made a push onto main base. It was like playing a really good RTS player. That's what it was like. Do you know what? That's the better way of me explaining this. Imagine some incredibly high-level RTS, like StarCraft player, playing against you, and they just have all of these bugs available to them. You know, you can just grab a couple of 100 and put them over here, and then these get 100. Mate, it was horrible. Horrible. Yeah. And you know what? The feedback was, it had learnt from us. When we played game 1, it was just watching us. How scary is that? It was literally watching me, and it was valuing what I was doing and giving a weight to how I played the game and learning my patterns. The only thing I can describe it to is I played OpenAI when I used to play Dota. There was this thing called OpenAI. You could kind of get involved in playing it and training it. Like game 1, I'd beat it. Game 2, I'd beat it. Game 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No chance. No chance. And you could be a professional player. You could be the best player in the world. It will beat you every time. Once it learns your patterns, you're done for. Anyway, sidetrack. Hey guys, if I find that video, I'll post it. I'll post it on YouTube, 100%. Because I'd like to watch that back. We're talking about 2 years now, maybe even 2 and a bit more years ago. But Jesus Christ, was it terrifying. Meanwhile, in this game, which is obviously a tournament game, the threat farmers are going strong. We can see here minus 500 to the minus 7,000 on South. So the South are absolutely smashing the threat farming out at the moment. A Souls boss with AI. Oh my god. That sounds like nightmare fuel. Although, that's got to be the way games go, right? You know, they learn from us and how we play. And then maybe they don't perfectly kill us off, but they just learn our ways, you know? But yeah, that's nightmare fuel. Dopamine goes down on the north. The threat farming seems to be slowing down. I guess they're moving towards capsules, which is a good thing. The threat farming should pick itself back up now. Minus 400 is okay. We're on Have a Nice Day difficulty, so it's not the end of the world. As you can see, the bases are really growing in size. I think we're aiming for at least going to yellow signs. No real massive sends have been made, but we are seeing a decent and healthy amount of blue signs chugging itself into the labs on north and on south as well. They are gearing up for yellow, interesting. With only a few labs really starting up. So we're slightly choked off in terms of research, but we are only going for military 3. So nothing really game winning here in terms of research. I guess we have a little bit of downtime. Oh yeah, dude, 100%. There's going to be a difficulty that is basically AI. It's like, if you want to, it will learn from you. Although, let's be honest, that already kind of exists anyway, doesn't it? Which is why I intentionally play bad when I play Souls games. Because then the AI looks at you and goes, yeah, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. I don't need to learn too much. Okay, muddle box is no shit, not good. Interesting. I wonder what that is that's not good. Oil seems healthy. Cracking's going well. We have an abundance of red chips coming out of this particular build, and blue sign's pumping its way out. Are we moving to yellow at all up here? I guess we have some future build. Oh, damn. Maybe we're in a chip meta. That could be it, actually. Maybe we are literally in a chip meta, where you need to stockpile green and red, so that when blue turns up, you can just throw a load out. Has to be the way, right? And let's check in on Ness. Ness has an independent base that is boxing up green chips. Shocker is doing a ton of oil cracking at the moment. And I guess it's making lasers, right? Maybe? I'm kind of trying to figure out. We're not going to rockets here. I'm almost certain we don't go to rockets. The green wave crashes into the south space. All they need is sulfuric acid now to start fueling and funding these buildings. We're very close to yellow signs coming onto the board. At 1 hour and 5 minute mark. That's relatively in line with good timings. The north are already managing to produce on this minute purple signs. And they've made 12 of them already. Now, I don't imagine there's a throw at all with purple signs. Not on this game mode, not at this time in the game. But let's take a look. So at 3 minutes to 4 minutes, so a minute difference from north to south for red, a good 10-minute difference from north to south on green, equal amounts, equal timings on military signs for north and south, 4 minutes ahead is south to the north on blue, and now at 1 hour and 5 minutes, the first purple is up. Bearing in mind, guys, if you were to play this game with your friends, in an hour and 5 minutes, you would not be able to get up to purple signs on a solo playthrough. It's ridiculous. One must imagine the AI could be terrified of you. You die. Yeah, that's true, actually. No, but what was the game? What was the game called? Was it I love this game. Was it Shadows of Shadows of Mordor? Shadows of War? Do you guys know where if you died to an enemy, like he kills you, he gets promoted, and he turned into like a mini boss? That's definitely one of the Lord of the Rings games, right? Why don't they do that anymore in games? That'd be so good. Like add AI to that, and every time one of those. So let's say you get into a fight, and a grunt kills you, right? One of these little crappy bugs, you know, the basic bugs. And the next time you see him, he's like a captain. And then if he kills you again, he becomes like a colonel. And every time he kills you, he learns a little bit from you. Oh my god! Why don't they make those games anymore? That was such a cool idea, such a great concept. Sorry, I'm yapping at the moment, and I know that you guys are here for the game, so I will try and lock into the game itself, as well as talk about this stuff, but you know what I mean. Had a name, Nemesis? You ended up with a nemesis, you know, somebody that killed you all the time. Oh, I'd be down for that. The North are not threat farming anymore. This is somewhat concerning. Coal seems to be the limiting factor here a little bit. Meanwhile, the South are carrying on their threat farm. They're minus 8,500 and carrying on. They have a lot of capsules being built, and this base is quite compact, very efficient, and it's just slapping out resources as and when they need it. To be fair, there's 4 of them out here, but they are doing a huge amount of damage in terms of like driving the number into the negative. Trying to find something that is unique. Nice little power block down here, that really does help. Another power block coming down here too. Some chip producers down here moving into LDS, red chips and prods. And another LDS creation here too. So yeah, we are, I mean, hopefully, by the look of things, when we do get into the end game, there's going to be a ton of resources in order to fund and fuel the purple building, the yellow building, and potentially the white signs. But we are probably, I think, about 25, maybe even 30 minutes away from seeing any large-scale changes to the game. It seems to me as though aggression has been parked, and we are just trying to see who gets there first. I say that. I say that. And yet, why is that not registering? Am I an idiot? We definitely have yellow signs being made here. The timings are off. Am I wrong? Do I need to refresh this? Oh, here we go. 1 hour and 6 minutes. 3 minutes ago, we managed to hit the second highest tier of signs, and at 261 being made, that's nothing to sniff at. Now, this is the slight frustration I would have. You don't want LDS to clog up the line. That's healthy though. Like, that's a lot of yellow going across the belt there. And that won't slow down anytime soon. They have a really generous amount of red chips being boxed up, yeah. Over 3,000 red chips in a box. This yellow is just going to stack up. So, are they throwing this? I mean, if they do, the North are going to be in a lot of trouble. Like, there is nothing really defensively to speak of for the North. Are they moving in on, like, stacking up their own signs? They've yet to turn on their yellow. Purple is non-existent, I think. Oh, damn. And this. This is the most perfect, worst thing to happen. You're losing belts with some of the most highly needed items for the end game. Again, you can kill these guys, they're pretty weak, but this will just set you back by a 30 second, 40 second, maybe even a minute buffer. All the while, the opposite team are stacking up a bit of a problem for you. Yeah, here we go, into this box here. 400 jugs already, and climbing. You know, that number will not slow down. Did we just lose the plot a little bit here? Remember, the threat farmers are now starting to fire back up again, and they do have poison capsules now, so they will be able to kind of break this area down a little bit, but you can't go down. You need to make sure that you stay alive, and there we go. 422 yellow flasks go over from the south to the north. Yeah, let's take a look at Ness whilst I plug in the numbers from this. So mutant log real quick. That 422 yellow jugs by califerbopbop at the 71st minute of the game has jumped the evolution by 44.9% and added 9,400 evolution. So now the bugs are 56% evolved. Ness is, yeah, lasering. I knew it. I knew it. There was no other reason to come out here other than to laser. And fair play. You know, this is really good for North. Really good for North. Oh wow, I don't want to shout at... So, the bugs have jumped twice. They've gone from little brown bugs to pink-shelled bugs, and now they are blue. There is Kong, and what we have now is we have a calculator. How cool is this, by the way? There's been so much additional UI stuff that's been thrown in. I love this. We can add menus, take menus away. We have an inbuilt calculator to find out how to get X amount of signs in to give us X amount of sends. This is devastating for the North. Obviously, they need to defend. They will be able to. But as I mentioned previously, like, the first thing the bugs will crash into is something you might not want to lose. You know, I'd much rather have at least a small amount of walls, you know, just a tiny wall across here maybe. I don't know. Remember, it is stupidly early in the game. We're only an hour and 12 minutes in, but, you know, the yellow science is beginning to flow. 64% now the North are dealing with, and 13,000 bugs on the pitch. Here we go, wave number 1. This is now mostly mediums and large, and they are crashing into something that the North will not want to lose. You're right, Rube. It would be nice to have... We have, like, these small menus that kind of show basic, you know, mutagen logs and stuff, but it would be good to have Canada is in shambles. Yeah. Sorry, that caught me off guard there. Canada is in shambles. Yeah, we need. What would be nice is like a little flashcard, something you can click in game that gives you a quick. All right, yellow does this, blue does this. You know. At the moment, this is just disintegrating, and this isn't game ending. Hopefully, both the northern players can do something about this, but remember, this is an outpost that is ridiculously close to main. And it seems to me as though, yeah, they're starting to kind of, yeah, they need to be active now. This is dangerous. If you get this wrong, this element of the game, if you get it wrong, this is game over. And it wouldn't have taken much. Now, you've spent a lot of time to get here, and we do have some laser towers. This is huge. There are some laser towers here that you might be able to put down, but you want to make sure that you can protect them. You don't want to lose them. We don't have many of them at the moment. You cannot lose a single box of any of these production modules. And Outstanding is about to fight for his life. This is terrifying. They are way too deep. They are way too close to very important, valuable pieces of kit. Those lasers need to just get spammed out. This is terrible. Not terrible play, but this is just really bad for the North. The bugs, obviously, like they're going to die to the lasers pretty easily. Here we go, some walls, finally. Shut them down. We don't have enough lasers to just eliminate the threat, and beyond that, we don't have the power to kind of fund this too. Oh, no. And they more crash. Oh. I think this might be it. I think this is it. I don't think they have an answer to this. It's not game ending whatsoever, but I think they've just been hit at the perfect time. They've been rocked by this, and I don't think they have an answer. Now again, guys, we talked about this earlier on. I don't want to say I was looking into my crystal ball when I said it, but I meant it. You need to have a skeleton around the heart. You know, we have internal organs, and we have a skeleton outside of that that protects our internal organs. Much like if our silo is our heart of our base, we don't have a skeleton around it to protect it. At the moment, these bugs are walking through open space to a silo. And they are just devastating anything that gets in their way. I don't think the no defense meta is a good idea. I genuinely think you need to prioritize some defense in your build. And maybe it's not by building a big castle, you know. I think I need to get into the lab and start doing some testing. But yeah, and apologies for the slow nature of the game. Things tend to kind of, when there's a lot of bugs on the map and they're all kind of fighting stuff, things slow down a little bit. The game needs to kind of like rubber band a little bit. So apologies if it's a bit of a PowerPoint presentation, but look at that. They're just going in. It's terrifying. Again, you can rebuild all this stuff, right? But is anybody back here that can kill this? You know, you need somebody that can. This is a problem that needs to be solved, right? You cannot let this go unsolved. Because that is it. That is the difference. One screen's worth about 50 miners, some belts, and that's game. There's nothing back here. This happened last game too, by the way. But I want to say just GG. Two very interesting games. I would wager to say that the first was better because of how close it was. But yeah, the South just managed to hit yellow and just throw it like 1,300 yellow jugs, bang, right in the face. Deal with it. You got to respect it. You have to respect it. That's a good effort from both teams, honestly. Let me just quickly type in some GGs. Yeah, it was interesting too. Two good games there. I think, you know, game two ultimately was a little bit one-sided. Once the Ends began, Mexico won. Yeah, Canada exploded, guys. Unfortunately. Yeah, let me do the prediction real quick. And thanks for joining in with me again, guys. I know it's been a while, but it's really nice to have you guys back and obviously providing a bit of comedic effect to the game too. It's nice to have a bit of banter as the game goes, and let's choose the outcome. So, very, very interesting games there. I didn't think I'd be streaming both of these today, but I am very glad that I did. You know, I think I witnessed, you know, kind of a very exposed meta. I think I'm going to watch both of these back, just with a bit of a notepad to see, you know, if I was in this position, what would I have done? How would I have built? You know, what is open and what is closed in terms of what's being protected and what's not. But I certainly think if you're not going to be building defenses, we need to think about how we protect the silo in other ways.